Imagine having the ability to control your enemies' minds, set them off against one another while increasing their damage. You and you fight for my amusement. It would be quite entertaining, right? Mind manipulation is the specialty of Nyx, one of the oldest Warframes in the game. A frame that recently got a bit of a rework or touch-up, which has made her more fun to use, but also changed how you may have built her. Before, Nyx was all about high range, duration, and of course low power strength, but now she needs a set amount of power strength for armor stripping or defense stripping, so a different stat of course has to be balanced out because of this, which in a way does affect her potential crowd control. Now, in fact, is crowd control in general as highly sought after as it once was in the Warframe community? Probably not as much as it used to be. I can remember when it was one of the things players would love to see coming with a new frame. The ability to lock a whole room or a tile set down while you went around killing all of those crowd controlled enemies. Whereas now it seems like the community wants more of a room nuking potential with frames more than anything else. The best crowd control after all is dead enemies, and as much as they have improved Nyx, which they have, like I said, some players that really enjoyed running Nyx before now see these changes as a bit of a reduction to her crowd control potential because of the way they have changed Psychic Bolts. Now, Psychic Bolts now needs power strength, which like I said means you're going to need either less range or less duration. Or of course you've got config A, B and C, so you can have multiple different fucking builds. Now Nyx can now charge up her mind controlled target to deal a lot more damage. She can shred enemy armor or defenses, and her absorb will now return incoming damage types back onto her attackers while also giving her and teammates a bit of a short damage buff once that absorb explodes. So if she is getting shot with say slash damage weapons or impact and so on, she will return that type of damage onto the attackers. And of course her chaos stays the same as it was before. Now her mind control still works as more of a distraction for me than anything else, just a more powerful one. For 4 seconds after casting mind control on a target, Nyx can then shoot that target and your squad as well to increase the damage that that mind controlled target will deal by a certain percentage. So basically, the harder those weapons can hit within that 4 seconds, the higher that percentage of damage will be. So you're going to be able to maximize this by picking a hard hitting enemy like a bombard, a gunner, a corpus tech or whatever, just to get the most out of the damage being dealt. Now these types of enemies of course will kill trash easily enough, especially if you've gone about stripping the armor or defenses on those trash mobs. It'll mean that the mind control target will pretty much melt them. I mean, a level 160 heavy gunner that's mind controlled with about a 1000% damage buff can melt another level 160 heavy gunner once you've stripped its armor pretty damn quick. Now depending on the enemy type that you cast Nyx's Psychic Bolts on, she will now either shred their armor, their shields or the ancient infested aura that's attached to them, or she will slow infested down by a certain percentage. 130% power strength is needed for the full effect of Psychic Bolts to fully strip armor, which then you need, or her bolts are kind of a little bit useless. Having 90% armor strip isn't as good of course as having that 100%, it's much more effective. Now on top of that, Nyx can't recast Psychic Bolts until all the enemies affected by the debuff are dead, or you can hold that cast down again until it cancels the debuff on those enemies and then you can recast it. So it's not like Ash's shurikens which can strip armor and you can just spam them, so it takes a little bit more getting used to. Now her chaos stays the same and her absorb, like I said, now returns incoming damage types back onto attackers, but now also gives you a damage buff to Nyx and teammates when that absorb explodes. So this damage buff is capped at 400%. which you'll see at the top right hand side of my screen when my absorb explodes. So her absorb still drains energy constantly, and that will ramp up the more damage that you actually take. So if she's being shot by multiple targets, your energy will get drained very, very quickly. And of course you can still run with the Assimilate Augment and a sword and board for a tanky style of play, a sword and shield, but now of course your absorb is going to deal that little bit more damage once it explodes. Chaos for me is still her main focus. I still run my Nyx for chaos, and it is nice that she can now strip enemy defenses at the same time while also having heavy units dealing amped up damage for a little bit of added crowd control. But her range has taken a small hit because now one of your builds will be more focused, I guess, with a little bit more power strength. Nothing is stopping you from having a crowd control ranged build, a tank assimilate build, and an armor stripping build as well. So you can chop and change from, like I said, config A, B and C depending on what you need. But will these changes make players in the Warframe community spend more time on Nyx compared to what they did in 2018? So at the end of the year, during the dev stream, when they show us the stats for Warframes used, will Nyx be more than what it was the previous year because of what they have just done to her? I kind of doubt it. Hopefully I'm wrong, and that's simply because right now, like I said, the community seems to be more focused on nuking than it does any form of crowd control. Like, you imagine running into a public mission right now. If you see a slow Nova, if you see a sleep Equinox, if you see a Vauban with Bastille, and even if you see a Nyx with Chaos, you know that that mission is going to be slowed down incredibly more than it would, I guess, if it was without any of those crowd control frames. So players tend to leave when they see these types of frames joining a public mission because they want to get through the mission as quick as fucking possible. Now hopefully I am wrong, but I guess time will tell. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of Nyx and the changes that she got, whether you like them or you don't, whether you loved Nyx before and now these changes have made her less enjoyable for you, or vice versa. Do me a huge favour and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.